Hey YouTube, today I'm going to show you how to paint some lavender, like fields of lavender. And of course, it would help if I had already gotten out my finished painting to show you. I've done a few of these, and so this is more what we're gonna do. Actually, this one had oil pastels on it, but this one is more what I'm going for today. Oh, there's another one with oil pastels. Actually, I can't remember what I did with my other paintings, but anyway, let's go for it. So the first thing we're going to do is a underpainting, and I'm going to paint my finished painting today on this, but this is already dry. I did this underpainting a while ago, but first I will do another one just to show you how I do it. So for the underpainting, we're going to do wet on wet painting. And the easiest way to start that is to just spray your paper. And you want a kind of a bigger brush for this, not a little tiny one. Like I'm using a 3/4 inch flat brush. So first I'm just going to like totally wet the page. And then I'm just gonna basically drop color in. Randomly, sort of. The composition I'm going for is kind of a diagonal. So like, let's say that's the sky. And then the lavender is all through here, mostly in the middle. Yeah. Truly, I never exactly know what's really going to happen, but all right. So grab some yellow. I'm just grabbing whatever's on my palette and this nice pastel yellow. Oh, you know what I should have done? Clipped it down. There we go. So some yellow. Now, the thing I like to do with this is get the color a little bit everywhere. Like, not to say go over the whole page, but it brings your whole painting together if you have the colors that you're using, not just in one little place, but kind of all throughout the painting. Maybe not every single color you use you would do that with, but I try to do that in general when I'm painting. Like I'm putting that pink a little bit into where the yellow was, but also in the white space. Also consider that your painting, your underpainting is going to look a lot darker when it's wet. So don't get freaked out if it looks really dark. I've learned to go darker than I think, even though I don't always follow that rule because I still get that feeling that it's too much color, but it'll dry so much lighter and then you're like, oh, there's not that much color on the page when maybe you really wanted more. So I'm choosing yellow and pink for that. The other thing is when you first put the color, when you first drop the color onto the wet, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but like it might not look great. Like the way it just drops in, but then over time it's going to travel and blend. So you don't have to do a lot with your brush. You don't have to fuss with it too much because it really will just slowly blend in. Now, let's say this is the start of my lavender. You'll see what I mean. I mean, I just stuck that in and it's already just traveling and blending. It's going to look a lot better once it has some time to do that. I think when I used to paint like this, I would get freaked out. Like I would put color down and just think, oh my gosh, what is it doing? I don't like it. But I've learned to relax a little bit and let it do its thing instead of just overworking it so much with the paintbrush. So, you know, this is like a green gold down there. So maybe I'll throw some of that. I don't want this to be super strong, because this color can be very strong. Let's see what it does. Okay, that's good. It's pretty diluted. My paper is buckling and I've got like a little river going through right here, but that's okay. Sometimes if that happens, you can just dab the water off your brush and go in and like pick some of it up, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes you might want to though, if it starts to get like really, if all of your color starts traveling into the river, then like I just dab my brush off of my paper towel. I'm not sure if you can see the paper towel, or it's a cloth, it's not a paper towel. I just use these and then wash them. But anyway, so I might just pick up some of this excess water so it's not so rivery. And I also want to go in with a green. Oh, I moved my colors around the other day. You know what? I'm just going to use this Cascade Green. This is Daniel Smith. This will do what I kind of wanted a different green, but I think it's in my other palette, and I don't think you want to wait for me to get all that out. Okay. So I'm going with that green gold, but I'm also adding in this Cascade Green for a little bit of a, I don't know, to soften it up or something. I never claim that I always know what I'm doing. I want a little bit of darker purple in this, so let's see. You could just use like a regular dioxazine purple if you have that. I'm just using kind of mixes of various purples that I have. See, my color is also pooling on the side, which actually can create a cool effect once it dries. So I'm not going to get all of that up, but some of it I'm just kind of getting out of there. This is a bee paper sketchbook. It's cotton. I don't think their paper is 140 pounds, but I like their paper. I like that it's not super textured, but it's not hot press. It's very much cold press, but I tend not to like the papers with a ton of texture. They just aggravate me. So I'm just taking and softening up some of these areas where the traveling of the paint is kind of like little tendrils. I don't really like that, so I'm just going over that a little bit. Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm not quite sure what this composition is going to be like, but when I go and I paint the main painting, I'm going to like make some of the little lavenders seem farther away, like smaller. But with wet on wet, it's kind of hard to control exactly what's happening here. So it's just an underpainting. Most of it's going to get covered up. But I love doing underpaintings like this on watercolor because it just gives it more depth. If you go in straight up with the blank sheet of white paper, it's like, I don't know, it can just end up looking a little flat. Okay, so that looks pretty similar. Now this paper is Cotty paper. I think this is 8x8. I love Cotty paper, especially for loose florals. So this I'm going to let dry. See, it's gonna look pretty different when it's dry. I'll show you when we move on. All right, now I can move everything a little closer so you can see. Let's see what you can see. Okay, now you can see. Well, I don't think you need to see the paper towel or the cloth so much, but I am not going to use this brush for this part of the painting. I'm going to grab my Princeton Neptunes. This is a 14, that's pretty big, and a 10. I just ordered a 12 yesterday because I didn't have a 12, and I'm like, okay, I can't live without a 12 in this paintbrush anymore. So I love these paintbrushes for loose painting because they don't have super sharp and pointy tips. I mean, I guess you could get some detail with these if you really wanted to, but there's much better paintbrushes for that. But for me, I like loose painting. I don't like doing a lot of little details in most of the time. So I'm feeling a little like, I don't know what purples I want to use. So the first sort of layer of petals for the lavender is going to be, for me, I'm going to do a little bit of a warmer purple, and I'll go in with a darker and cooler purple over top of that. I feel like I'm not using like a reference image, but I don't know. I've painted these so many times that sometimes I like using the reference because I can see more like what the lavender is doing exactly. Like sometimes there's like little groups of petals, and I just got orange in my purple, but actually I kind of like it. So I'm varying like the sizes of my lavender. I don't want them to be all the same. So the other thing I'd like to do, like I was saying before, is like get that color in other places. And then like I'm just dipping my paintbrush in my dirty water really quick. So I'm not trying to really wash off all the color, just some of it so that I can get a really light value. Give it some dimension, even though my first layer is pretty light. I'm going even lighter with these sort of like background lavender things. Okay. Let's go in with some more green gold, but I don't want it to be like straight up green gold because that's really bright. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that Cascade green. And it does not matter which green gold you have. I'm serious. I have like 3 different ones. They are all I don't know. I might have even 4 different ones. They are all the same to me. So it does not matter. I don't even know. Like I have probably green gold in a few different half pans and also in palettes like this, and I don't even know which ones are which. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it does not matter. So I kind of like this bit of brighter green. I want this to touch a little bit on my purple flowers. I mean, you could say I'm making stems, but they're just so loose. They're not like, it's just very loose. I want there to be some green in there. Dipping into my water, trying to get a lot of the paint off so that I can soften some of these edges that I just made. Okay, I'm going to my smaller brush. This is my 10. So I'm gonna grab, this color is basically gonna be like a dirty, dark purple, but it's still pretty warm. It's a warm purple. This is a mixture of what is on my palette. So I'm gonna go in and like drop this in on wet and dry areas. So we're getting a little bit of hard edges, but also the dark colors bleeding into this paper stays wet pretty long too. So that's really nice. This color is called Dusk Purple by Van Gogh. Oh my gosh. Truly, dusk pink is my favorite Van Gogh color, but that dusk purple is also pretty nice. It doesn't look like much when it's wet, but when it dries, oh my goodness, it is so gorgeous. I think, where is my, what did I do with my, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. Oh, it's right in front of me. I kind of want to put this out as a reference. Like, see, there's my, this is on Cotty paper. It's smaller, obviously, but this is in one of their little sketchbooks. It's like super, I don't know, handmade feel. Well, it is handmade, but yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm just going to put that up there to kind of just inspire myself. Oh, you know what? When in doubt, get your paintbrush in your dirty water. I like to have a jar of dirty and a jar of clean water. And when my dirty gets too dirty, I just refresh it out. Anyway, so that's a little dark. But I was going to say, when in doubt, splatter it up a little. Let me grab the bigger brush. You can always sort of erase mistakes. It was just too dark. That was what happened. There we go. I like doing that in the middle of the painting because you just never know what's going to happen. And so the thing I like that I did in this other painting was I kind of went in with loose leaves, but I defined them a little bit. I did that after it was dry. So I'm going to probably do that towards the end. Yeah, I like that. Okay. What does this painting need? Now I'm grabbing this other color and I don't remember what it's called. It's basically a green gold, but it's like, it's a Daniel Smith color. Oh, I don't know. Serpentine or something. It's really hideous. It's a really hideous color, but in the right painting, it can be very nice. It's basically like almost like a green gold, but so I'm doing some suggestions of stems for the leaves, or maybe even for the lavender itself. I don't know. Oh, you know what else I like to do when it's still wet? Put in, now I'm gonna go with an even smaller brush. There we go, just a size 2. Put some yellow in with the purple. Because if you actually look at lavender, I think sometimes it has some yellow in it. Anyway, it really looks so nice with the purple. Just don't want to mix it too much because it could get muddy. It's always good to have a scrappy sheet next to you so you can get paint off your brush or see what the color is looking like. All right. Part of the problem is with the paper staying wet for so long that it's just hard to sometimes you just have to wait a while for it to be ready for the next step. See, like right now, there's a lot of paint. Oh, sometimes you just have to start laying it down on your scrap paper to see what it looks like. Just putting some loose leafy marks. I want to be brave and go even darker with that. I think, I was going to talk about these colors, but I can't even remember what they are. It's sort of an aqua green. Oh yeah. That's great. Because with that, not the green gold, but the other green that I went in with, I guess the Cascade green, I wanted it to be really more of an aqua, but now I'm just letting that aqua blend into the other greens. Oh boy. You know what might look good on this is Moon Glow. This is my Moon Glow right here. Really, I should wait until this is dry to do too much of this because I don't want to overpaint it. But this, when I go in with this darker color, what I'm looking to do is like have more defined brush strokes rather than just You know what? I'm gonna let it dry. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll be back. Okay, I just blow dried it because I'm being impatient and I moved you a little closer. Hopefully, I think it's nice to see like the bigger picture of what someone is doing, but since we are getting to the more detailed part and you already saw my whole like area, I think that'll be nicer. Okay, here's where we're gonna go and do some of these like little leafy stem guys with more of a green gold. I think this is going to make the colors pop even more in the whole painting. So yeah, that is definitely helping the whole thing look better to me. I like that. I like that a lot.
See what I mean about putting each color like kind of all throughout the painting? I don't want to do it in an obnoxious way, but it just will bring the whole painting together if your colors are sort of all throughout. I guess it depends on what you're painting, but when it comes to loose florals, I think that's a rule that you can't go wrong with. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Get back into my aqua and just drop some of that into some of these wet little green gold areas. Oh yeah, see, I like that. I like that too. And the other thing I kind of like about the original painting I showed you is there's a little more stem action going on, like at the bottom. And I'm not just like drawing a straight line down. I'm doing, well, I accidentally just did there, but I don't want it to be like, oh, look, there's a stem. I want it to be like just the suggestion of them, loose. Oh yeah, and see how I'm holding my brush at the very end? That's another way to keep it loose. I'm like, I don't know, are we almost done? I feel, you know, this happens to me every time when I'm working on a painting. I think that's why it's so hard to make a video, because I always feel self-conscious about it and like, yikes, when I'm working on it. And then I'll go back later on and be like, oh, I love it. After I like walk away and do something else and come back, I'll come back and so now I'm going in with this dark aqua green, Winsor & Newton, and defining some of my dry air aqua leaves, or well, defining them. I'm putting marks that are defined. They're not going wet into wet, it's wet on dry. So it's just adding a little bit of dimension. There's nothing, I'm just being random. And then maybe I'll hit some wet areas and it'll bleed a little, which is cool with me. And if you don't like, if one mark seems like too big or too noticeable, just kind of blend it out a little with a bigger brush, a nice wet brush. There we go. Okay, here's my thinking. I want to do a little something more to the flowers, but I think I'm gonna do it with colored pencil. So once this is dry, I'm gonna add something with the colored pencil. And I'm also torn about splatter. Do I wanna do some white splatter? Yes, I think I do. I was thinking I was gonna do like gold, but I'm feeling the white. I like that on the other painting. I just remembered I did definitely one, but maybe two paintings like this. Not the same thing, but they're really big. I mean, for me, they're big. They're like, they're not that big. They're just bigger than this. Anyway, I'm gonna go upstairs and see if I can find them and show you. I think one of them's pretty bad. I don't know if I kept it. Oh, you gotta keep some of your bad paintings, right? Okay, I like this. I'm happy. Maybe it's not my most amazing masterpiece, but I think it's pretty cool. And goodness gracious, this, can you see the texture of this paper? I know I said I didn't like textured paper, and I don't really, but this paper just has such a gorgeous texture. Look at that. And it's just lovely. It's not, the texture isn't super deep. I don't like deep texture like Arch's paper. The texture is way too deep, if that makes sense. Okay, I'll be back. I am back to show you. I found my old lavender paintings that I did. So here's one. I really love this one. I just think it turned out so nice. Then I did it again, kind of the same. Oh, the thing I didn't like about this one was, see how my petals are like all the same value almost? That I was pretty annoyed about after I finished it. But this one I like because it has the lighter values and then the dark values in there. Okay, this one is the one that I'm cracking up about. It's really not bad. It's just, this is the big one. And actually this is on Arches paper, and this one, oh, okay, yeah. I just struggle with Arches paper. I don't know why. It's just not my favorite thing. Again, it's the texture and it's the way that the paint bleeds wet on wet that I just get very frustrated with. Anyway, I don't love this, but I think it's good. I think it's okay. I didn't throw it away, so that's something. And yeah, that was it for my lavender. I will be right back once this paint is dry. This is a part where I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know that I want to add a little more excitement to this painting. So I'm going to add some like loose leafy marks. A lot of times I'll do this with colored pencil. It's the same difference really. Sometimes I like the colored pencil more because the lines are thinner, and I like that better. I don't know. What next? Purple. And with colored pencil, you have a lot more colors to work with. I feel like I'm doing the same thing on the flowers. I don't really want to do the same thing. The same marks as I did on the leaves. I don't want to do that. I'm going to take some of these marks up. I'm doing this so, you probably can't even see it, but you can in person. I'm just creating some lines that are going up. And as I'm doing my little crazy marks, I'm like twisting. I don't know if you can see, like twisting the pencil because I want it to be loose. That's how I achieve that. I'm feeling like a little more yellow is going to give this some excitement. Yeah, I like that yellow. Once again, I'm just going in different areas of the painting, so it's not just like, oh, there's yellow. There's like a line of yellow. I want it to be everywhere, but subtle and more noticeable through here, but little pops elsewhere. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. I'm tempted to add some blue, but I think I'm gonna hold back. I think I'm gonna call it done. So thank you for watching, and I hope you try and paint a loose field of lavender like this, and just keep trying. If it looks terrible the first time you do it, just keep trying. I've painted this many times, so I've gotten more confident with it, even though every time I do it, I'm certainly bound to find something that I think is wrong with it. But really, I've learned to accept my little paintings for what they are and move on. So I don't know. Let's see if you can see some of those marks. Little sketchy marks. Okay. Until next time. I lied. I can't. I'm not done. You know what I want to do? I'm gonna add some aqua splatters along the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, I like that. Bye.